Hello and welcome to Peaky Boardgamer. My name is Rakos and today I will teach you the first game produced by Teetotum Game Studios, Age of Rome. And I have to admit that the production quality of this game is stunning. The game is designed by Vangelis Efthymiou and Antonios Giannopoulos, can be played with up to 4 players, and it normally takes about an hour and a half to finish. The game uses a very innovative mechanism of a rotating board which serves you the province in which you can operate during a round. The game has a solo mode, but also a few variants, one of which might be more suitable to all those players who prefer a more controllable rotation of the province board. I'm gonna start explaining the rules right away, so don't go anywhere. In the game, players compete to become the new Caesar of ancient Rome. The game has a board depicting 4 province quadrants, which rotates on every round as dictated by a random event card. On every round, players may only operate in the province quadrant that stops next to their player token. In that province, players may construct new buildings and then place their followers on buildings of that province or the Colosseum and perform various actions. There are 5 different types of buildings, each of them offering a different action and a different way to score glory points. Players can also take scheme actions to gain advantages and bonuses and impede their opponents. The player scheming efficiently and investing in the right actions will gain the most glory points and win in Age of Rome. At first, place the square board in the middle of the table and then fit the axle token in the recession in the middle. Then take the circular provinces board and fit it in place. Now the provinces board can freely rotate. The provinces board is split to 4 quadrants. Each quadrant depicts 1 province. Each of the provinces has a population dial to indicate its population. Initially, you must set all of these dials to population 1. Place the black round marker on the first space of the round track and the 3 milestone markers on space 12, 21 and space 30 of the glory track. Take the event cards and if you are playing the basic game, find and remove the 6 negative event cards that I show you here, because these are only used in one of the game's variants. Then shuffle all of the applicable event cards and place them in this area of the board. Do the same with quest cards. However, if this is a 2 players game, find and remove all cards depicting a star here and then shuffle the deck and create a face down stack. Also create a face down stack of trade cards, this time next to the board. Again here, if this is a 2 players game, you should find and remove all cards depicting a star here. Shuffle the cards, create the stack. Create a supply of Denarii that come in 3 denominations, 10, 5 and 1 denarius. Next, create supplies of buildings next to the board. First separate them according to their type and then create 3 rows according to their level. If this is a 2 players game, you must remove 1 level 2 and 1 level 3 building of each type. Then take the 5 building tokens and place them on top of the stack of the corresponding 3rd level buildings. Then create supplies with the neutral Pantheon pieces. There are 4 base pieces, 2 bronze, 1 silver and 1 gold, and 4 top pieces, 3 bronze and 1 gold. You will use all of these components in a 4 players game. In a 3 player game, however, you will remove from the game 1 silver base piece and 1 bronze top piece. In a 2 player game, remove 1 silver and 1 bronze base piece and 2 bronze top pieces. Players are then dealt a random player board and also take a player aid, the Pantheon board, and then also choose a color and take all components corresponding to that color. Players are then dealt 3 quest cards. After examining their cards, they will select 2 cards to keep and they will return the 3rd one to the bottom of the stack. During the game, quest cards should be kept secret from other players. Place the scheme markers of your color to the indicated spaces on your board. Then take 3 different bonus markers and place them to their corresponding spaces on your board. Then use your Legion figures to cover all the grey printed spaces on your board. Marcus Antonius starts with all 7 Legion markers. Then do the same with the vote markers. That character starts with 4 out of 5. And then do the same with followers. Marcus Antonius starts with only one follower. Here you can see that Marcus Antonius starts with 7 denarii from the supply, starts with a bonus glory point using their glory marker on the board, and as indicated by this symbol, all players start with a specific number of feud markers. These are placed on top of your bonus marker slots, moving from right to left. Any remaining feud markers are placed in a supply next to the board. Finally, if the player's board depicts an anchor card, they take that card into their hand. Next, each player selects their nearest quadrant of the main board. The province board will be rotating, and players will be always operating in the province that is moved in their selected area of the main board. To indicate this, players can use their player tokens placed on the board like I show you here. If this is a 2 players game, players should select opposite quadrants and not adjacent ones. Finally, players select a player at random to take the first player token, which is placed right at the edge and on top of that player's province quadrant. The game is now ready to start. The game is played over 9 rounds. Each round in the game consists of 4 phases. The round starts with the scheme phase, in which players first draw an event card. The event card introduces an event but also determines the player turn order and how the province board will rotate at the end of the round. The second phase is the building phase. Here players will construct buildings into their province, increasing its population and gaining glory points, which is victory points in this game. Then the round continues with the actions phase. Here players alternate turns to play their followers onto the board and execute actions. When all players are out of followers, we move to the income phase, in which phase players gain Denarii, and the phase concludes with rotating the province board as instructed by the event card drawn in the first phase. Then players move to the next round, and after the end of the 9th round, players move to scoring. I will now explain each one of the phases in greater detail, starting with the scheme phase. In the scheme phase, players first draw the next event card and resolve it. The arrows in the middle part of the card indicate the player turn order. Yellow arrows indicate a counterclockwise direction. So during this round, whenever player turn order is required, the yellow player will start first, followed by other players going counterclockwise. This arrow also indicates the direction the province board will be rotated at the end of the round, and the number of arrows on the card indicates how many times it will move. Each move is a 90 degrees rotation, so at the end of the round, the province board will end up like this. Event cards also have an event, which sometimes is an instant effect or an ongoing effect for the entire round. In this case, Heavy Recruiting instructs all players to choose to gain either a Legion marker or a Vote marker, or if they have an Anchor card, they can discard it. Anchor cards are a handicap to players because they limit their player's hand of trade cards. If the timing of the event matters, then players resolve the effects using player turn order. Then the event card is placed facing upwards in this area, visible to all players. After resolving the event card, the next step is scheme token activation. Players may activate their scheme tokens if they have any of them placed on the board. Of course, this will not be the case in the first round, so you will skip this step entirely. Let's see, however, how players would activate their scheme tokens if they had any of them on the board. The scheme activation step is resolved in player turn order, so in our case, the yellow player starts first and may activate all scheme markers that are currently located in province quadrants of opponent players. So the yellow player will go first and may activate this scheme marker against the green player and this scheme marker against the purple player. This can be done in any order. Next will be the purple player that can activate up to 2 scheme markers against the green player, and finally the green player can activate 1 marker against the purple player. Scheme activation is designed as an aggression act by the player activating the scheme disc against the player in the attacked province. This act has two parts. The first part is that the attacker passes the leftmost feud marker from their board to the rightmost empty bonus space of the attacked player. The second part is that the attacker uses one of their scheme effects depicted here against the attacked player. These two parts I just explained are requirements in order to proceed and activate a scheme marker against that player. It can happen that you cannot pass your feud marker to the attacked player, either because you have none on your board, or because the attacked player has no empty bonus space to place it. It is quite rare, but it can also happen that you are unable to execute any of your scheme effects against the attacked player. If any of the two aggressive parts of scheme activation cannot be executed, then you cannot activate a scheme disc against the player. If you can, you do the following. First, you flip your scheme marker located in the opponent's province to the painted side. The marker will remain there until end of phase 3. You pass your leftmost feud marker to the rightmost bonus space of the attacked player that has no feud marker, and then you execute one of these three scheme effects. All character scheme effects are explained in the rulebook, and I show you them here in the graphics, but I will also explain the effects of Marcus Antonius. With mudslinging, the attacked opponent loses one glory point, but you cannot use the effect if that player has only one glory point. With degradation, the player removes one Pantheon piece from the attacked player's Pantheon, but only if there is one piece that can be destroyed. With apostasy, the player replaces any Legion figure of the attacked player in any battle region with one of their own, returning the opponent's figure back to their owner's board. Again here, you can only use this effect if there is an opponent's Legion on the board in order to be replaced. After players are done activating their scheme markers, the round proceeds to the building phase. Here, using the player turn order, all players will take one turn constructing any number of buildings into their current province. Every province has 5 building slots, one for each building type. There are 3 levels of each building type, and these must be constructed in order, so the yellow player must now start by constructing a level 1 building. The cost of constructing is depicted in the slot, as well as the glory point bonuses that the player will gain after constructing the building. So by spending 3 denarii, the player can construct the level 1 religion building and then will instantly gain 2 glory points. Every time you construct any building, the population dial is increased by 1. Now that level 1 is constructed, the player can spend another 8 denarii to construct the level 2 religion building. That will also grant the player another 4 glory points, and population will be increased again. Players can construct any number of buildings during their building turn, provided they have enough denarii and that the appropriate buildings are available in the common supply. Important! The first player who constructs the first 3rd level building of any type also gains the building medal and keeps it next to their play area. Each of the medals associates to a specific ongoing ability that the player can start using right away. I will explain all of these abilities a bit later. Speaking of glory points now, whenever you gain or lose points, you move your marker up or down accordingly. If you ever reach 30 points, you flip your marker to the other side and start from the beginning. Important! Yellow spaces on the glory track are milestones. When you reach or pass these milestones, you gain a new follower and place it on your personal board. This follower immediately becomes available. Spaces 12, 21 and 30 are moving milestones. Each time a player reaches or passes these milestones, these are automatically relocated to the next lower space. This can cause a chain reaction, as in our case here. The green player also receives their 3rd follower, and the milestone again relocates to space 10. Keep in mind that you can never lose your gained followers, even if you have to move backwards. Of course, you can only gain one follower from each such milestone. In the actions phase, again using player turn order, players alternate turns placing one of their followers on the board. If on your turn you have no remaining follower to place, then your turn is skipped. The rest of the players continue taking turns, and when all of the players are out of followers, it's the end of the actions phase. On your turn, you have three options as to where you can place your follower. One of your options is to place your follower into the Colosseum simply to score one glory point immediately. The Colosseum can accommodate any number of followers. The second option is if in your province there is an empty scheme marker space and you have an available scheme marker on your board, you can place the marker in the space. You place the marker with the painted side facing downwards, and then you place your follower right on top of the scheme marker. If all spaces of your province are occupied, or if you have no marker available on your board, you cannot perform this action. At this moment, you do nothing more, but you might be able to activate your scheme marker in the scheme phase of the following round, as we saw earlier. Most of the times, however, you will be placing your follower in one building in your province in order to activate its corresponding action. Important! Each building can accommodate followers equal to its level. So, I cannot activate this building again during this round, but I could activate this building 2 times because it's a level 2 building. The 5 actions are military, politics, trade, religion, and farming. Another important aspect are bonus markers. Each player has 3 bonus markers, one for the military, one for politics, and one for the trade action. If any of these bonus markers are not covered by a field marker, then you can use them along with your follower and take the corresponding building action. The effect of the bonus marker is similar to activating the building twice in a single turn. I will now explain all the 5 actions and the effect of the bonus marker where applicable. With a military action, you invest in gaining victory points at the end of the game. When you activate this action, you gain a move of one of your legions between the 3 battle regions and/or the player's board. If you have used the bonus military marker, then you gain 2 moves. A move can be between your board and one of the battle regions, or from one of the battle regions to another. In the game scoring, players will be ranked in each one of these 3 regions and gain victory points according to these banners. However, in order for a region to be scored, the total number of legions in that region must be equal or more than the number depicted in the red shield. So, if that were the situation at the end of the game, this region would not be scored. Remember that in a 2-players game, the banners that depict a star beneath are not applicable. So in a 2-players game, only the first player would gain 4 victory points from that region. Let's make a scoring example. If that's the situation at the end of the game, the green player is ranked first and scores 8 glory points, the yellow player is ranked second and scores 4, and the purple player is not ranked and scores no points. If, however, the situation was like that, the green and the yellow player would be tied for the first ranking. Whenever players tie for a rank, they score no victory points and they keep their ranking. This means that the purple player is now second and will score 4 victory points. If a player has acquired the military medal, then that player wins all ties in the battle regions. So if the green player had the medal, they would be ranked first scoring 8, the yellow player would be second and score 4, and again the purple player would not score any points. With the politics action, you place one of your votes in the middle axle of the board, creating the Senate's column. And if you also use the politics bonus marker, then you place 2 of your votes. You place your vote always in the top of the column. If your placement creates a triplet of 3 of your own votes in the top of the column, you achieve a majority and immediately score 2 glory points. If a player has acquired the politics medal, then each time this player achieves a majority, they gain 3 glory points instead of the normal 2. The capacity of the Senate's column is 5 votes. After placing each vote and awarding victory points, if applicable, you remove the bottom vote and return it to its owner's board. In our example, I was out of votes after my last placement, but I just gained back one of my votes. So now I am able to play my bonus vote, awarded by my bonus marker. My placement achieves a second majority, and I gain another 2 glory points, and now the purple vote returns to the purple player. Important! You can only create a majority by placing a vote and never by removing one because of a scheme or event effect. So if in this example the green vote was removed by an effect, the yellow player would not score a majority. In final scoring, the position of each vote marker in the Senate's column will award specific glory points that I show you in the graphics. We will see that in scoring as well. When you take the trade action, you gain 1 trade card from the supply. And if you also play your trade bonus marker, you take 2 cards. If you need to draw a trade card and the stack is empty, reshuffle the discard pile, creating a new face-down stack, and then continue drawing cards. Players have a hand limit of 5 trade cards, also counting the anchor card in case you have one. If you are gaining new cards but you are already at your max, you must use one of your cards in advance to gain the next card, and so on and so forth. Otherwise, excess cards are lost. There are 3 ways to use your trade cards. One way is to sell them, 1 denarius for each card sold. You can sell your cards at any time during the game. You can also play a card for its effect. Each card can be played at a specific time as indicated on the card in bold letters. For example, this card can be played when you build. This one's when you activate a scheme marker in the first phase. This one whenever you place a follower into the Colosseum. But most of the cards can be played when you place a follower. You can also create sets of 3 same colored trade cards to gain glory points at the end of the game. There are 4 different colors of cards, and there is also 1 brown card with this symbol that is used as a wild. If a player has the trade medal, then green cards can also be used as wild. You can create a set of cards at any time during your turn. These cards are not in your hand anymore and cannot be used in any other way. You have only 3 slots for sets, and at the end of the game you will score the glory points depicted here. So I will gain 4 glory points for this set. Anchor cards can never be used or sold. You can only get rid of them by specific effects. Let's do an example of this action. I have just activated the trade action with a bonus, so I'm gaining 2 cards from the supply. Unfortunately, I have no space in my hand. I will play my card Parma now, which triggers when you place a follower, which is our case at the moment. With this card, you remove your anchor card from play, so now I have 2 slots for new cards. I can now choose to end my turn, however, one of the cards I received can also be played after you play a follower, which still is the case here. So I can play this one as well to draw another 2 cards from the supply. All discarded cards are moved to a discard pile. I go on and draw the first card, and again the card has the same condition, so I could also play it for its effect. However, I will choose to create a set of red cards using 2 red cards and the brown wild card so that I gain 4 points at the end of the game. Now I can draw my last card and end my turn. With a religion action, you invest in gaining end-of-game glory points depending on the number of pieces in your Pantheon. Each time you perform this action, you place the next 1 piece in your Pantheon. The first time you will place your first base piece, then your second base piece. The next time you complete your foundation level by grabbing the most valuable foundation neutral piece. In our case, the gold piece. Each gold piece worth 4 glory points, silver piece is worth 3, bronze piece is worth 2, and each of the player's own pieces worth 1 glory point. After completing your foundation, no piece can be affected or destroyed by any effect. The next time you take this action, you place your first top piece, then the second one, then the third. Again, these 3 pieces are vulnerable to be destroyed by effects, and the next time you take this action, again you take the most valuable neutral top piece from the general supply and complete your Pantheon. Nothing can affect your Pantheon after this point. Last but not least, the religion medal that relates with the religion buildings enables the player to convert Denarii to glory points at any time. For every 3 Denarii you spend, you gain 1 glory point. When you perform the farming action, you immediately gain the Denarii depicted here according to the current round. In this case, the player will gain 2 Denarii. If a player holds the farming medal, then that player will be gaining 2 Denarii in addition to the normal yield each time they perform this action. At the end of the action phase, all players retrieve all of their played followers on the board and all of their bonus markers they have played. Finally, players retrieve all of their scheme markers on the board, flipped on their painted side. These were all activated in the first phase of the round. In the income phase, players gain Denarii equal to the population of their current board, so the yellow player gains 5 Denarii. However, players can choose to gain double this amount by losing the glory points depicted in the red number. So the yellow player can choose to gain 10 Denarii instead, but they will have to lose 4 glory points. Of course, you cannot double your income if you cannot spend the full amount of glory points. At the end of the income phase, the province board is rotated as instructed by the event card of the round, and the round marker is moved to the next space. If that was the end of the 9th round, players proceed to final scoring. In scoring, players score points in different categories. Players can also use the handy scoring pad. Players first score the glory points they reached in the glory track. Players then score points in the battle regions, as explained earlier. Players then score points for votes in the Senate's column, again as we explained earlier. Then players gain points if they have created trade card sets, and then points for their Pantheon pieces. Then all players reveal their quest cards. Quest cards have goals and grant players glory points if these goals are achieved at the end of the game. This one, for example, grants the player 4 glory points if they have acquired the farming medal. And this one will grant the player 3 points for each red set they have created, so 3 points in our example. Finally, players can purchase glory points with their remaining Denarii. 1 glory point for every 4 Denarii. Remember that the player who acquired the religion medal can convert Denarii to points at a 3-to-1 ratio. This player here buys 7 glory points with 28 Denarii. Players tally up their scores, and the player with the most glory points wins the game. If there is a tie, then the tied player with the most remaining Denarii wins the tie. After that, all tied players share their victory. And that were the rules of Teetotum's Virgin production, Age of Rome. If you like our videos and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. Until next time, have fun and play more board games.